It's September 8th, 2023, and these are today's headlines. When it comes to explosive moments, the Senate impeachment trial of Attorney General Ken Paxton has been a roller coaster. If you caught our update yesterday, then you know that the trial has continued with testimony from so-called whistleblowers that went and reported Attorney General Paxton to the FBI 3 years ago, alleging illegal and unethical abuse of office in an effort to assist Nate Paul, a real estate developer. That's what many of the 20 impeachment charges against Paxton are about. Well, last night, they went till about 7 o'clock. The prosecution brought forward their third witness, Ryan Vassar, the former Deputy Assistant Attorney General for legal counsel. When cross-examined by Mitch Little, one of Paxton's attorneys, Vassar crumbled. He admitted he reported his former boss, Ken Paxton, to the FBI without any evidence. Little read through several of the 20 impeachment charges levied against Paxton, with Vassar testifying that he essentially did not believe he violated them, at least not as they were put forward in the impeachment charges. The reaction to this bombshell has been huge. For example, Matt Rinaldi, the chair of the Republican Party of Texas, took to social media to say, quote, every House Republican that brought Phelan and Murr's BS, Phelan and Murr being House Speaker Dade Phelan and State Representative Andrew Murr, who led the impeachment in the House, every House Republican that bought Phelan and Murr's BS and voted for this impeachment should be embarrassed. Strong words from Matt Rinaldi. Other users compared him to Adam Schiff, who famously led the impeachment against Donald Trump in D.C. with no evidence. If this seems significant, it's because it is. In part, because this is the first time these whistleblowers have been placed under oath, at least that we've seen. They weren't placed under oath when House investigators talked with them earlier this year. The House's impeachment case was, as it's been put, hearsay based on hearsay based on hearsay. And yet, of course, the House voted to impeach Ken Paxton based on that no witness testimony, no sworn testimony, regardless. So now in the Senate trial, many of these facts are starting to come to light. And remember, this is the prosecution's own witness destroying their impeachment case against Paxton. This isn't even one of Paxton's witnesses. This morning, kicked off with Vassar back on the stand and cross-examination continuing after what could not have been a great night of sleep for Vassar. Evidence showed text messages where Ryan Vassar insulted his colleagues in text message groups, but a particularly notable moment came when asked about his legal representation by a man named Johnny Sutton. Now, this is a name that has come up a few times already in the trial. He's a lawyer that several of the whistleblowers have retained for the past 3 years since they decided to report their boss to the FBI. Sutton's not just any lawyer. He's a very close lawyer with the Bush family. He was part of Bush's team when he was governor, George Bush, and he was later appointed to be a U.S. attorney when George Bush was in the White House. Very close to the Bush family. Ryan Vassar testified that he hadn't received a bill from Johnny Sutton for 3 years. He said he believed Sutton would bill him at a later date. When that date was, he didn't know. How much that bill would be, no answer. And so here you have a Bush lawyer representing the people who kicked off the whole process that led to Paxton's impeachment, that led to this very trial that we have taking place right here at the Capitol. And it's a Bush lawyer representing him for free. It's become a familiar refrain this week by the defense. It's been said several times. There are no coincidences in Austin. As every witness speaks, and especially under cross-examination, it's becoming increasingly clear that there might be another force at play here. Who that may be may become more clear as the trial continues. Now, as a programming note, the impeachment court will not be meeting during the weekend. They will return next week, and with their long hearings that they've held so far, they're now actually about halfway past the mark of the trial, meaning it's possible they could finish with testimony next week. In other news, U.S. officials are reporting that the Biden administration may force illegal aliens to remain in Texas while awaiting asylum screening. 3 U.S. officials who were not authorized to speak publicly about the issue told the Los Angeles Times that the Biden administration has been considering a new plan to curb the rampant flow of illegal immigration through the southern border. According to the officials, the proposal would force illegal aliens to remain in Texas or other border states by tracking their location through GPS monitoring devices like ankle bracelets while they undergo asylum screening. Officials have said they would work with local organizations to provide housing for families who remain close to the border. This new plan would come as Texas is facing a legal challenge from the Biden administration over how to deal with the southern border and illegal immigration, with a legal fight still ongoing over the border buoy barriers placed in the Rio Grande. The Biden administration, of course, wants them gone. That is now at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. Obviously, should Biden's plan be put into place, this is unacceptable. Texas has bared the brunt of the border crisis. We share the longest border with Mexico by far. And that's why so many are calling on Governor Greg Abbott to reject the Biden administration's dangerous policies and take action to finally repel and end the invasion on our southern border. We'll end things today with a new poll commissioned by the Defend Texas Liberty PAC that shows that Donald Trump is the choice of 61% of Republican voters in Texas. This is Trump's highest performance on this series of polls after getting 48% in the poll in July. The same poll shows Florida Governor Ron DeSantis in second place with 10% and every other candidate receiving much lower than that. Some other interesting questions from the same poll. 79% of Republican voters say Trump should not be convicted following his Georgia indictment. 83% oppose local governments having the authority to implement vaccine and mask mandates. And 84% of Republican voters in Texas believe English should be declared the official language of Texas. You can see the full poll and more news of the day at TexasScorecard.com. Have a great weekend.
No ads, no paywalls, no government grants, and no corporate masters. Just real news for real Texans. This is Texas Scorecard.